Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back. Today we are talking about the books that are coming out this week, the week of January 9th. There are a lot of exciting picks this week. Most of the list is fantasy. I'll go ahead and say that this time. And it might be shorter than last week's list. I don't actually remember right now. Just like thinking in my head. But let's go ahead and start with our only non-fiction pick and then segue through the genres kind of like we did last week. So our first one is going to be nonfiction. I don't know how many people this is their thing. For people who like reading biographies, memoirs, this is kind of a memoir. I suppose it focuses, I think, only on a small portion of life. But this is Spare by Henry so sorry, I almost said Duchess. But that's not right. Prince Henry of England, all titles that include. Yeah, this is his own personal take on things that happened from his childhood, you know, with his mom dying, all the way through the drama with his wife and his family and all of that. So if this is your cup of tea, I mean, wow, yes, it does sound interesting. I just don't know. This is his, you know, nonfiction memoir though. So maybe check that out. It is cool though that he actually did it himself instead of everybody else who has, you know, biographers write about people's lives and the royal lives. He did it himself. So taking the power into your own hands. Our next book is general fiction, and this is an action story. It is kind of a dystopian, no? Maybe, yes, a little bit. It's called London Falling, and it's the British Invasion Book 1. It is by Hadwin Fuller. This is on Kindle and was it Kindle Unlimited? It might just be Kindle only, but it deals with alien invasion and the picture is cool and it sounds cool. They came, we fell, he avenged. Nathan never amounted to much. Divorced, broke, unemployed, he'd seen it all. He was a loser and always would be. Until a planet-wide invasion wiped out 99.9% of humanity. With the world turned on its head, Nathan finds himself leading an underground community of survivors. He's admired, he's respected, he's almost happy. But nothing lasts forever, and when fate calls Nathan to return to the surface, he soon discovers the whole invasion situation isn't what he thought it was. Let's move the pen so it stops clicking. So, nice action-y, adventure-y story sounding, dealing with, like I said, kind of dystopian, but not exactly, because we're not into that future after the cataclysm has happened yet. We are in the midst of things still happening. Moving right along into the fantasy genre though, we're going to have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather, still not sure if that's a C or a G, Fawcett? This is a new author, so because this is her debut book, so this, I mean, it sounds, it's just cute sounding. A curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of a heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. Our main professor, who is part of the book, name is Cambridge Professor Emily Wilde, is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily is not good with people. We'll just skip over that little part. And when she arrives in Hardscrabble village of Frangvisik, she has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk, nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Brambley, who manages to charm the townsfolk, muddle Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. And it says, as Emily is getting closer to uncovering the secrets of the hidden ones, the most elusive of all fairies lurking in the shadowy forest outside town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Brambley? And what does he really want? So it sounds cute and fairies. Our next fantasy book is going to be The Daughters of Isdithar by Hadir El-Sabi. This is still fantasy. I think though this one's age range is more new adult than the other one. And this one, it says, is inspired by modern Egyptian history, and we're set in atmospherically a world of that sort as well, where it looks very desertish. And yes, they deal with elemental magic, and our main characters are both female, as this is going to be feministy in the duology, as they're both trying to learn their powers and just be able to control their own lives and destinies. As Water Weaver, Nethal can move and shape any water to her will, but she is limited by her lack of formal education. She desires nothing more than to attend the newly opened Weaving Academy, take complete control of her powers, and pursue a glorious future on the battlefield with the first all-female military regiment. But her family cannot afford to let her go. Crushed under her father's gambling debt, Nethal is forcibly married to a wealthy merchant family. Her new spouse, Nico, is indifferent and distant and in love with another woman, a bookseller named Georgina. Georgina has her own secret, however. She is an earth weaver with a dangerously uncontrollable powers. She has no money and no prospects. Her only solace comes from her activities with the Daughters of Istithar, a radical women's rights group at the forefront of the movement with a simple goal: to attain recognition for women who have a say in their own lives. They live very different lives and come from very different means, yet Nethal and Georgina have more in common than they think. The cause, and Nico, brings them into each other's orbit. Drawn by the group's enigmatic leader, Malik Muhammad Mamdoth, and the urge to do what is right. There is another part, but we will leave that up to you guys to find out and read it and discover. So the next one, I think I'm going to wait till the end because it's epic fantasy, but its age range might be young to new adult, maybe. I'm not sure. The character sounds more of one side than the other, so I don't know. Let's do this one then. The sequel to Ninth House, which is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I have not read Ninth House, though now reading the description, I wonder why. Maybe I have not thought about it or picked it up before. Maybe because I heard something else and I thought it was something else. I think I had it confused with another book because I thought it had to do more with sisters that kept dying, but apparently not. It says Alex Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. She dropped out of high school, was raised by a hippie mom. By age 20, she's the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved multiple homicide, and somehow from her hospital bed, she is granted a full ride to Yale. She finds out that her mysterious benefactors want her to monitor Yale Secret Society's activities, as these people are involved in occult activities that are sinister and extraordinary than any paranoid imagination might conceive. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. That is the description for Ninth House. And so Hellbent will follow the activities in Ninth House, as our main character is still going to be Alex Stern, though I remember seeing that. So if you are a Leigh Bardugo fan and you have read Ninth House, or you haven't and now it sounds interesting and you want to pick these up, it will be out this week. Another fantasy, I guess this is an honorable mention because this is in the Wayward Children series. It's Lost in the Moment and Found, though technically this is listed as a standalone tale while also saying it's 8 out of 10 in the Wayward Children. It says a young girl discovers an infinite variety of worlds in this standalone tale in the award-winning Wayward Children series by Sean McGuire. Welcome to the shop where the lost things go. If you ever lost a sock, you'll find it here. If you ever wondered about a favorite toy from childhood, it's probably sitting on the shelf in the back. And the headphones that you swore that this time you'd keep safe, you guessed it. Antoinette has lost her father, metaphorically. He's not in the shop, and she'll never see him again. But when Ansty finds herself lost, literally, this time, she finds that however many doors open for her, leaving the shop for good might not be as simple as it sounds. And stepping through those doors exacts a price. Oh, this sounds like it might be sad. Lost in the Moment and Found tells us that childhood and innocence once lost can never be found. Our last one, I guess, for the adult-ish, I don't know what this book is marketed as yet. It could be YA, it could be adult, but This book is totally accessible by range because it is just a lovely fantasy story that is whimsical and adventurous, and I've already read it and the review is already up, so if it, you know, it sounds interesting, go watch that. This though, it was such a beautiful story, and that is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. It is available in ebook and audiobook for the general public this week, and I highly recommend it. It was just a lovely, lovely tale. It is adventurous. I didn't mention it in the review, but it is, you know, it does take place on like the high seas a lot, as our main character Tress is just a normal girl on her island, and she loves cups, and she has a friend who something happens to him, and she sets out on the adventure. She is not going to be the girl that sits and waits for rescue or for things to get better by somebody else doing it. She's going to be the one that does the rescuing. And it was just so much fun. The inspiration for this book did come a lot, he said, from The Princess Bride and Good Omens. So just, yes, elements of both of those stories, of the humor and the whimsicalness and the lightheartedness, the found family. Okay, so the book we skipped a little while ago because I wasn't sure its age range. I should have written it down. I just wrote epic fantasy. But this is going to be The Sapphire Altar by David Dalglish, and this is also a sequel to The Bladed Faith. And The Bladed Faith takes, our main character is Cyrus was only 12 years old when his gods were slain, his country invaded, and his parents, the king and queen, beheaded in front of him. Held prisoner in the invaders' court for years, Cyrus is suddenly given a chance to escape and claim his revenge when a mysterious group of revolutionaries comes looking for a figurehead. They need a hero to strike fear into the hearts of the imperial and to inspire and unite the people. They need someone to take up the skull mask and swords and to become a legendary vagrant, an unparalleled hero and assassin of otherworldly skill. But all is not as it seems. Creating the illusion of a hero is the work of many, and Cyrus will soon discover the true price of his vengeance. That's the description to The Bladed Faith, so this one takes place after that, and he seems like he's disenchanted with what he's become. The covers look really cool, and as it is an epic fantasy and it sounds very gritty start, it sounded intriguing. This is another one that I don't know why I had not heard of or possibly considered picking up before. And our final book of the week is The City of Nightmares. This is definitely YA fantasy, lists itself as that. And did I say City of Nightmares? By Rebecca Schaeffer. Brain fart. Ever since her sister became a man-eating spider and slaughtered her way through town, 19-year-old Ness has been terrified. Terrified of some other nightmare murdering her, and terrified of ending up like her sister. Because in Newtham, the city that never sleeps, dreaming means waking up as your worst fear. Whether that means becoming a nightmare that's monstrous only in appearance, to transforming into a twisted, unrecognizable creature that terrorizes the city, no one is safe. Ness will do anything to avoid becoming another victim, even if that means lying low among the friends of the Restful Soul, a questionable organization that may or may not be a cult. But being a member of a maybe cult has a price. In order to prove herself, Ness cons her way into what's supposed to be a simple job for the organization, only for it to blow up in her face, literally. Tangled up in the aftermath of an explosive assassination, now Ness and the only other survivor, a nightmare boy who Ness suspects is planning to eat her, must find their way back to Newtham and uncover the sinister truth behind the attack, even as the horrors of her past loom ominously near. So based on the actual tagline though, at the top of that, and also if you get Fairy Loot and you receive their email with the February theme notice, I think that's going to be February's book. Circling back to Tress of the Emerald Sea, which out of all the books this week, that one I encourage you guys to pick up the most because it was just such a fun time. And if you've never tried Sanderson before, this is a good one to start with. It's self-contained because it's a standalone, though I hope we see more from this world. And yes, it's not long. So if Sanderson's books scare you because they're long, this is not. I think any age group pretty much can read this. It's just a wonderful story. What I didn't mention though in my review video is the magic system is actually almost more science-y based. Like, it doesn't go into great detail, of course, but it's just the way it works. It's hardly that. It's more science-y based in the way things because it's reaction based kind of. I think also maybe I shouldn't have said who the narrator is in my video, so there's that. Since I did the video and I've watched other people do it now, some people have, some people haven't. Either way, so spoiler-free review. I encourage you to check it out so much. I hope you have found something from this list that sounds interesting and like you want to pick it up. Please subscribe if you haven't so you can see next week's video, because there's several on next week that sound awesome. And like this video if you have found something you liked, and if you enjoyed my rambling stuffs, I hope you will come back next week and you're finding something awesome to read today, and I will see you later. Bye guys.